White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows joins us now. Good morning, Mr. Meadows. Thanks for being with us. I want to get to the executive order in a moment, but I want to start, as Ben reported in his piece, the president said again that he's not sure this election can be honest. Why does the president refuse to commit to a peaceful transfer of power?
Well, I think he commits to a peaceful transfer as long as it's a fair election. And I think that even the lead up into this was talking about that very subject. We now know that we have a Department of Justice investigation into ballots that were discarded from veterans in Pennsylvania. That's very troubling. Anyone who sends in a ballot to find them discarded. What we want to make sure is that every vote counts, but that only the vote from one voter to the ballot box is what gets counted, and nothing less, nothing more. And so that's what he's referring to. That's what we're committed to. We're seeing some very problematic rulings by judges in certain states across the country. Hopefully we'll be able to make sure that this election goes off like every other election, and that the winner on November 3rd will certainly be the new president sworn in on January 20th.
The case in Pennsylvania you referred to involves just 9 ballots, and according to the Department of Justice, they did not specify any particular crime or allege any wrongdoing at this point. But the president continues to say the November elections will be rigged. What evidence, if any, does he have, and what does the White House plan to do about it?
Well, to suggest that an investigation that just got going in the last 24 hours has not found any wrongdoing would be a rush to judgment that you wouldn't want to make, I wouldn't want to make. But we have reports from the Washington Post during the primary of over 500,000 ballots that were problematic in the primaries. And so that's a substantially larger number that we look at. Should we allow votes to come in and be counted a week after November 3rd? I don't believe so. That's what we're talking about. Let's make sure that the systems that we've had in place for decades, indeed centuries, are the same systems we have in place now. But we have activist judges trying to change the election laws, and those are not going through the legislature. That's very problematic for the American people, very problematic for the president.
Mr. Meadows, the president has said if he loses, the election will have been rigged.
Well, I think what he looks at is just like every candidate that runs. Hillary Clinton before. Hillary Clinton, 4 years out, still doesn't believe that she lost the election. She's also calling on Joe Biden to not concede the election. You know, what is that if we're looking 4 years later where they're saying that this president is not their president? Every candidate that runs believes that they're running the right election. I can tell you we're doing what it takes. We're out each and every day making our case to the American people. We believe he'll win on November 3rd, and with a free and fair election, I believe he'll win.
All right. But as Ben Tracy pointed out in the piece, your own FBI director says he has seen no evidence of widespread voter fraud by mail or otherwise.
Well, with all due respect to Director Wray, he has a hard time finding emails in his own FBI, let alone figuring out whether there's any kind of voter fraud. This is a very different case. The rules are being changed. And so what I'm suggesting is perhaps he can drill down on the investigation that just started, others that we're seeing in North Carolina and other places where multiple ballots, duplicate ballots are being sent out. Perhaps he needs to get involved on the ground, and he would change his testimony on Capitol Hill.
Mr. Meadows, yesterday the president, as we reported, signed a health care executive order to protect patients with pre-existing conditions. But it doesn't explain how the president intends to do that. How will that happen?
Well, it's just trying primarily to make sure that any insurance company, if they've got someone covered, to make sure that they can't increase the premiums and essentially price that person out of coverage just because they happen to get sick or have a pre-existing condition. Additionally, that is law right now, but that codification yesterday said it's the official policy of President Trump to make sure that any legislation, whether it's this new legislation moving forward, whether it's executive orders or anything else, that pre-existings will always be protected under a Trump administration.
Yeah, but as you point out, the Affordable Care Act actually already covers that, although you...
Well, but it's going through the courts right now,
yes,
and so I think
you're
it was
trying to overturn it.
to go. But there was one other key thing that happened yesterday that you're not covering. The president actually mentioned and is starting in October to send out discount cards for pharmaceutical copays to 33 million seniors. In October and November, they will be receiving a card where they get to have $200 credit to help with copays. It's the first time that money went from Big Pharma's pocket into the pocket of American seniors, and it was big news yesterday.
Mark Meadows, thank you very much for being with us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.